Welcome back, everyone. Einstein's Eyes, our YouTube channel. I'm Carl Rosen, oculoplastic neuro-ophthalmology, Anchorage, Alaska. My friend and partner, co-resident at Albert Einstein, John.
Nice to see you guys.
Today, our
I'm in
guests.
northern New Jersey, and Carl and I have known each other a long time, ever since we trained at Albert Einstein, hence Einstein Eyes.
Right. So actually, today's a nice day in Alaska, so it's unusual. Today we have two guests, Sami and Doug, two really smart guys who have started a company called Moyae, which means mortar and pestle, right?
That's great. You got it. Yeah.
In Ethiopian, right? Or
Somali.
Somali.
You got it. Yeah.
Sorry, man. All right.
No
Mortar and
problem.
pestle in Somali. I've been working with them. They're really innovative, smart, got a great product. And so I'm going to let Sami and Doug talk about how they got started, their origin story, where they are now, what the product does, why it's different, and why it's unique, and why ophthalmologists should really consider either adopting it or switching to help them just move things along more efficiently and effectively in their practice. So you have the floor, guys.
Thanks, Carl and John. Nice to be with you both here. We're calling from Austin, Texas, where it's actually surprisingly cold and chilly today. So,
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, it's unusual for us today. But yeah, we started this journey about around 2 years ago. Douglas and I have known each other for almost 7 years now, been friends, co-workers, and always bounced ideas off of each other. But we were coming off of an exit from a health tech company, and basically an ophthalmologist that was a family friend reached out to us and was in a difficult situation. So
yeah, so I think it was Dr. Lena Dixit had reached out, and she had said that she couldn't find her patient records and couldn't log into her EMR, and this was probably actually late 2021. And so we were brought on as consultants to try to figure out what was going on in this practice. But as Sami and I were calling around, talking to other practices, it looked like other practices also couldn't get their patient records either. And so we were starting to build out solutions to try to see what we could do in the EMR space.
Scary. What company were they all with? One EMR company?
yeah, so they were with one particular incumbent that we displaced. The issue that they were having is that they had a Bitcoin ransoming. We didn't know this at the time, but they weren't forthcoming with that data. And all sorts of downstream issues happened there where patients' records were exposed. And it was just a tough time, but we didn't know at the time. They were just locked out of their patient records. So I'm sure you guys can imagine patients piling up in the waiting room, just a not great scenario. And that was going on for more than a week.
Wow. Brutal.
No, it's terrible, particularly when everything is digital. You could have a captive audience that's really struggling. We had that ransomware recently with United Healthcare, right?
Yeah.
And that was ugly.
It's more than just United. I mean, we had it with basically Optimum, which is, it was huge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you can't get reimbursed. It affects your cash flow and your revenue stream. So
did you fix their problem?
So we shop them around to let's do as a favor, we'll lift and shift your data to a different product or service. And we kept recommending a different application, a different EHR, different company. One by one, she would tell us she doesn't like this company for this reason or that reason. And so
very tough to change.
Exactly. So we said, maybe this is just a very particular doctor. Maybe we need to get some more references. Exactly. So when we talked to more of them, they told us more of the same. And so what we learned was there's sort of two halves of the competitors in this market. There's those who are trying to boil the ocean, trying to make one product that works for multiple medical subspecialties. But when you talk to doctors, they'll tell you this wasn't built from the ground up. Why am I recording, vitals immediately when I just want to get to the lens refraction as soon as possible or patient history as soon as possible? The workflow just doesn't fit with the ophthalmic workflow there. So, yeah.
So the other competitors, we've got super subspecialized, but they're really old. They are about 20, 30 years out of date, and they're falling a little bit out of compliance. So this practice that we're working with, they rely pretty heavily on MIPS reimbursements. And they wanted to make sure that they weren't going to get dinged the 9% if they didn't follow the regulation and using interoperable software. So we started building an EMR, and we got grant funded by Amazon to start building it. And we have been, full steam ahead since.
That's interesting. So you got a grant from Amazon. Do they expect anything in return?
It was non-dilutive. They just loved that we were trying to take on, some
Wow.
legacy software and build something great in the space. Maybe we should talk a little bit about maybe why they thought they were confident in us and why we thought we were confident in ourselves. Douglas and I have had many years of experience building in highly regulated markets. That means finance, that means health tech. And so we know that, regulation isn't just an excuse for a terrible software experience. Our theory, our hypothesis is if you can lock in on a specific type of user or just keep it as narrow as possible, that's how you can surprise and delight. That's how you can make a great experience. But when you're trying to just please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And that's what we've seen in the market with a lot of our competitors.
Right, but your product and the Moyae website is www.moyae.com.
Sure.
So everybody should take a look at that. It's a nice website. It explains it simply. It gives a nice, you have a demo, you can demo the product there too, right? Or they can download?
Yeah, so if they put in their credentials, we'll send over automatically a short video, just a quick demo of like an example encounter that you can do in our system. And then, we invite you to come and talk to us. We're happy to set up a more customized demo that's like specific to the type of encounters you deal with on a regular basis. And they can go to the website, put in their credentials, and they'll be sent a short video of an example encounter. Then we invite all doctors and their staff to come and talk to us. We'll put together a more tailored demo for their work as well. And we've built it for the ground up with vision care specialists in mind. So we think we've got something pretty special there.
Right, but this works for optometry, ophthalmology, could be retina, peds, could be neuro-op, oculoplastics, general ophthalmology. It covers the bases, right?
100%, 100%. And we've got some
Good,
more
good.
exciting features that we're working on as well, bringing in more AI as we wherever we can. Just, we want to be that force multiplier for doctors, especially when, I was just recently reading a paper that says, there's going to be a shortage of ophthalmologists as the population continues to grow older or skew older. We just need to help doctors, give them the superpowers to be as efficient as possible. As software engineers, we know our tooling updates and makes us, more efficient within every 6 months. That's going to happen for everybody. And by no means are we replacing any doctors. It's just sort
No,
of
you wanna
like
make it
the idea
easier.
of the bicycle for the mind.
Yeah, perfect. So let's talk about the AI a little bit more. Showcase that feature.
Yeah. So one of the things that we built out already is suggestions for medical coding. So one of the tedious parts that when we interview doctors, we hear, rather than sacrifice the patient experience by typing away the most efficient or most well-encompassing document encounter, doctors will end up sacrificing their own personal time, and so that they can make the patient feel like, they're being well listened to. But that's not sustainable. That means doctors are losing 1 to 2 hours of their personal life every day. And we want that to be a thing of the past. Everyone deserves to, when they clock out, they get to clock out and actually come back excited and energized. So how we're doing that is helping them with suggesting and predicting specific medical billing codes. And so just reduce some of that cognitive burden so the doctors can focus on being doctors and rather than coders.
Now,
So
we,
have you, I mean, right now, do you have clients or you're still in the development stage?
We're deployed to 2 different locations, 2 different cities in Texas, one in Round Rock and one in Taylor. We got 6 doctors using our platform right now. We see about 250 patients on a weekday.
Yep.
That's
We've
great.
gotten our product certified as well by the government.
Great.
that's great.
And
So-
what problems have you run into since you installed there?
Oh man, problems. We're working on integrating with different practice management solutions right now. So that's, you integrating old legacy data or patient files onto our system.
Nightmare.
It is always a little bit difficult. But we're building out the tooling for a bunch of different PM systems.
It's interesting because so we had a company called IO Practiceware. Did you ever heard of them? So they had a big market share in ophthalmology, and then they just lost their infrastructure. They didn't have the support. And even though it was a pretty good product, they weren't upgrading it and they knew they weren't going to be certified.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were just alluding to. They were an old company. And when we integrated to Nextech, which the other name for that is MDI, have you heard of them?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so they have big ophthalmology market share. Even it was a nightmare to just what you just said, bring the charts over. And then we had Nextech, MDI, and then we merged our practice with a larger practice and we were staying with Nextech. It still was a nightmare. It's just because I guess they were, I forget what they call it, enterprise system. Does that ring a bell? Like it was something to the effect where we had this individual system and now we had to be merged into their system.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty big migration. It was very difficult. So you've seen the same thing, I guess, when you've tried to take the old system and try to put it on your new system. It's very difficult, right?
100%. I mean, this is the promise of regulation that we're going to get a lot more standardized in the future, but we're still in that difficult period where, while we are supposed to be mandated to use HL7, new protocol called FHIR, FHIR, this is sort of the latest standard for transmitting human health records. While we're all mandated to move towards that, there's still some discrepancy between that too. But when we were first getting started, the data that we got from the incumbent was just a hard drive full of just CSV files. And we had to go ahead and say, okay, let's figure out how to sew this back together to make, a coherent encounter. And but
Well, I love
luckily,
that you guys welcome, like you said right at the beginning, you welcome, most people are like the government's requiring this. I think you're brilliant to say we welcome that because it's going to make it easier for everyone.
We think that is actually going to be, our force multiplier is welcoming this regulation and being on fire. Like we're at this advent of AI and a new set of data formats. So we have the ability to optimally train data on this new format. We have a lot of, and it's going to be it's promised to be the most interoperable format. So we're hoping that once everybody moves towards this new format, there will be a lot of things that we can do in healthcare. And the AI will be able to understand most of it, if it looks congruent to each other.
Yeah.
Are you doing other specialties as of now or just ophthalmology still?
we're just going to focus on ophthalmology and optometry. I think, again, maybe there's room for that in the future, but the way you make people happy is focusing on their needs. But if you try and focus on everybody, you're going to end up making not many people happy.
I think that's also very brilliant. Like it's interesting because so many docs out there who are pretty important in private equity, they have management positions. They don't know this. They don't realize that ophthalmology and optometry is such a different animal that if you just put us in, if you buy an ophthalmology practice, a huge group, and you just say you have to use this software, they can't see patients.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight two things. One, we spoke about this earlier. The AI feature, in addition to what you were saying, if you can go from speech to text within the product, I think you'll get a lot of practices and a lot of decision makers in ophthalmology practices very interested. I mean, John, what do you think about that? If you could reduce the number of scribes because the program is doing that for you, wouldn't that be a switch incentive?
Well, I think there's already, I see it advertised to me every day when I go on LinkedIn about scribe service that's using artificial intelligence, so I think it's already there. And it wouldn't be part of my EMR; it would just be added on to my EMR. Is that your understanding, also, you guys?
So both of you are on to something important here. The audio scribing or auto scribing capabilities. It's a newer emergent feature, but it is coming out on a couple of the larger platforms. But what I will say also is that I think this is going to be something that's commoditized as we go forward. It's going to become a de facto standard. One of the exciting bits of news we heard recently is that Amazon's coming out with their own capability, just called Amazon Health Scribe. So we'll be checking that out as well and seeing what's the best way of bringing in those features into our system too. Some doctors are more excited than others about it, but we think it's just going to be the standard going forward.
So you can either add it from like a third party, or you can make it part of your system, I guess. Is that?
That's right. That's right. Our goal, though, also as part of Moyae is to be one piece of software that you can use to run your entire practice. So rather than having to juggle 6 to 8 different applications,
Right.
different line item expenses, working on compatibility, and having to be a solutions architect on your free time, we just want to be single pane of glass. This is everything you need to run a great vision care practice. It's your force multiplier there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Because John, when you add bits and pieces onto a product, you know, things break down.
Sure.
And then, you know, you're scratching your head trying to figure out what piece.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use a scribe, and I see about 7 to 8 patients an hour, but I type quickly. And I think I'm unique in that while I'm interacting with the patients, I do my note, I bill, I do everything.
Yeah.
But that's unusual. My other doctors in my office mainly use scribes, and it's a big expense, and the notes aren't great. I mean, as much as you have a very skilled, experienced scribe, their notes are not nearly at the level. If I was, let's say, dictating, I think the problem, I guess, is you have to learn. I guess I've never used it, but you would have to learn how to like turn it on, turn it off. Say like exam, impression, right?
No,
Billing.
John, the AI does that for you. It's smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And
It's
John,
definitely gotten better. You don't have to be as specific with your prompts, and it's actually getting better where it'll understand this is the doctor speaking now, this is the patient speaking now.
Ah, interesting.
yeah,
Important part
Okay.
is though we've got to meet the doctors in where they're at. So if they want to use it, they can use it. If they don't want to use it, they don't have to either.
yeah. But I'll say, John, a counterpoint to your point is that I always use a scribe. There's no way I'm
Yeah,
going
no,
back.
most of the doctors I know use scribes, especially some of the older guys. Pretty much anyone older than me definitely does. So you're older than me, right, Carl?
Touche, John.
But I know you
Touche.
look I know you look younger, but
Well, I'm much cooler, John. So
Yeah, much
that's the thing.
always been the case.
So one final thing, guys. So I did look at the pricing model, and you do come under most folks' pricing, particularly I think it was Next Gen that we looked at, and I commend you for that because you're offering a broader and more in-depth product for less money. And I think folks who watch this should understand that, and that should be another reason to go check out the website and ask for a demo.
I definitely appreciate that, Carl. You know, I don't know if we'll keep this price forever, but our goal is just give you more, and continue to add value. And as we go up the chain of, you know, doctors are also using this app. How do we bring in reputation management? How do we bring in, you know, some other capabilities? We just want to continue adding more and more value there. So, yeah, we're excited to offer these prices to early comers and possibly work deals as well with different practices as well. So we're excited to demo, excited to talk to more doctors, and we definitely invite them.
Great. So John, refer anybody you know, John, to Moyae.
Yeah, it's
Who might be
tough.
interested.
I think it sounds really intriguing. It sounds like you guys have the right strategy. I guess the thing to overcome, which you've already dealt with, is why would someone who's using a product, it's such a nightmare to change. It really is, unless you're compelled. I was compelled once, then I was compelled only because I merged. So it's great if you get practices that are starting. That's, if I was going to make a recommendation, you get someone that's starting up a practice that hasn't used it, you know, they're not committed to an EMR product. I mean, how do you overcome that? Like, you have a guy like me, I've used the product for a while. I'm comfortable. I know it's not perfect, but I know I can go to work and it's working. Whereas now all of a sudden I have this new thing that I don't know where this is and that is, and it's going to be a transition for me. How do you overcome that?
100%. So as we once we've already demonstrated the value to a doctor, you're 100% right. The stickiness or the switching cost, it can be high there. What we offer as value is, we're not really charging an integration fee as of today. We'll actually embed ourselves. We'll find a way to work with that incumbent, get the data over, and we'll actually just work on migrating that data ourselves as well as alongside our team. That's what we were able to do with our first set of customers, and they were surprised, like they weren't as involved in all of that work and migrating that data.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
yeah, so it's something that it's a bit of a white glove service. And as we continue to grow, one of the challenges will be, how do we continue meeting that high bar of excellence that we put for ourselves? But we're excited to meet it. It's a challenge that's important. And yeah, doctors shouldn't have to tolerate a long bit of interruption in their service. They should be able to just switch as easily as possible. And I think regulation, again, is going to be a big part of making that even easier going forward.
But John, I'd also like to add, you said there are customers who might be compelled. I mean, we're talking about, this recent, I guess, Bitcoin ransom. There was 36 products on there that are no longer being supported. I think the group is called Eye Care Leaders, and they're filing for bankruptcy.
That's terrifying. Wow.
So there are definitely doctors out there who, are in need of some help moving their data.
Right. So that's an opportunity. Once that happens, your product is a dented can. It's just not whole anymore. And so, yeah, folks will look to switch. But if you can make it easier on the doctor, on the staff, on the office manager,
Huge.
on scheduling, if the AI can assist you in diagnostic, coding, in assessments and therapeutic plans, and really digging deep into the EHR and going back farther than his brain can remember, then you have a product that really would be perfect when you do have a product that had a problem, with either a security issue.
Carl, I have one more question. You guys are an product. You're not doing practice management, correct?
We're not doing that today. We will work with your current practice management solution, or we'll offer one that we are partnered with, but we'll see in the future. Right now, we're just focused on make doctors as happy as possible, their staff as happy as possible, and we'll work more on that billing part a little bit more in the future.
Like you've dealt with Athena? You've integrated with Athena at this point?
It's actually one of the next ones we'll be integrating with.
They're pretty big.
Yeah. And this also leads into scheduling too. I think scheduling is a big area.
Yeah, well, that's practice management more. That's why it made me think of it.
We do have our own calendaring right now. So we forward a little bit into it because we need to grab the calendar and display when you will be seeing your patients. So we do work with calendars. We have our own internal calendar. So, I mean, it is a feature set that we're thinking about moving into.
But I was talking about, surgical scheduling over at either the surgery center or the hospital or on call. If somebody's taking call for the office or for the community or the hospital, that scheduling piece, if that's integrated, that's beautiful, or another office, a satellite office.
Yeah, my EMR doesn't do any of that. In fact, we don't even use the practice management for that. I mean, it would be nice to do it. We don't do that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when AI is really up and running and doing what I think it can do, and it's a great book. I'm reading it now. I'll throw a pitch in. The AI Revolution.
Huh.
You seen this book?
No.
I mean, I don't get any royalties on this, but
Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm getting it right after this call.
Anyway, I'm reading this book. This book is amazing. This really talks about what the possibilities are. It's like having a super smart, way smarter than you, assistant that just takes care of your stuff. And that's what's going to happen in the office, John. You're going to walk in. You're basically going to be a figurehead. What?
I thought there was a point of marriage. I thought I was supposed to have this assistant that's much smarter than me. Takes care of everything.
Okay. All right. But John, imagine it extends from your home address to your office address now.
It's very scary. Have you guys heard of a book, Who Moved My Cheese?
No.
But it's very interesting. It's kind of it's a great book. I mean, it's a quick read. It just makes sense. Who moved my cheese? Basically, you're used to life. We're doctors. We're used to this EMR. Yeah. All of a sudden, you show up one day, your EMR is not there. Who moved my cheese? and you have to learn to adapt to. And most people in our world are very hesitant, they're fearful of change, which is AI.
Yeah. And doctors are the
And
worst.
EMR
Yeah.
products that are better. So there's a way to like welcome that change. Like I'm trying to convince myself, right?
Yeah,
And myself.
yeah. So I'm gonna work on John. So I'm gonna call you guys
Yeah.
when I got that. When it's all when I've broken them down. You'll hear from me.
I'm definitely going to check out the site. I want to look at it.
Yeah. We want lots of folks to check out Moyae and to at least set up a demo. So guys, Sammy, Doug, anything else before we sign off?
We'll be at Askers this year, so that's coming up in a couple of months. Excited to talk to everybody there. We'll have a booth, so come and talk to us in person.
That's great.
It's wonderful. John, anything else?
No, that was nice to meet you guys. Very informative, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to showcase Moyae. Please check out their website, and thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, John.